All right. What's going on off the record, fans? Today is the 21st of April. I hope you had a great weekend. It was Easter weekend over the weekend. Let me know what you did down there in the comments. I hung out in Phoenixville area, hung out with friends, had a bunch of charcuterie board hangouts at the girlfriend's house. We had a fun weekend, nice and chill. We definitely enjoyed the holidays on, April 20th. So, we've got a couple news reports for you today. And if you've been following these episodes, you know I always end it with a local shot to a local band. So, today we've got a special band we're going to talk about first. The Sound Surge, Memphis May Fire, Rise, Fall, and Fire. So welcome back to the Sound Surge of Off the Record. I'm your host, Luke Eccles, and today we're tuning in, pulling that volume up and peeling back the layers of one of the most resilient forces in metalcore, Memphis May Fire. From the MySpace days to dominating Warped Tour stages, their genre debates an emotional redemption. And this is a full ride band for sure. Stick around because we've got tons of news on this band. So let's go to the roots of fire, segment 1. So Memphis May Fire burst out of Dallas, Texas in 2006. They originally were fronted by Chase Ryan Robbins. The band had a southern rock meets post-hardcore vibe, but things really started cooking in 2008 when Matty Mullins joined the force as their frontman. Now, if you were paying attention to last week's episode when we talked about Amber Lynn, we talked about Matty. We'll see if this article talks about him at all. So with Matty's clean, emotional vocals paired with his gut-punching screams and guitarist Kellen McGregor holding down on songwriting and production, the band honed in on a sound that could fit you, that could just hit you in the chest and the feels in the tummy. Their 2009 album, Sleepwalking, was one that it's a first deep breath before the plunge. And the Hallow in 2011, that was a drop that they put out. So breaking through in the rise of metalcore fame, the Hollow is where things really picked up for the band. It was raw, heavy, melodic, everything fans were looking for in a scene. That was just the beginning to shift into a more emotionally honest territory with songs like The Sinner and Legacy. They didn't just hit hard musically, they tackled real issues like addiction, shame, and redemption. From there, it was all gas, no brakes for this band. The album like Challenger in 2012 and Unconditional in 2014 debuted on the Billboard 200. So that's right, a Christian rooted metalcore band with blistering breakdowns and personal lyrics sitting in the Billboard top 5. That's Memphis May Fire. So, segment 3, Matty Mullins, frontman with a fight. So, let's talk about Matty for a second, because this guy's story is central to everything with the band. On stage, he's a powerhouse. Off stage, a man who publicly battles anxiety, depression, and identity crises. Or crises, if you must. In 2014, Mullins opened up about his struggle with panic disorder, a bold move in a genre known for bravado from their lead singers for sure. His transparency has been a beacon for the fans, though. It reflects on the band's lyrics. You listen to tracks like Beneath the Skin or the song Carry On, and you know these songs were written by someone who's been to hell and back and decided to make a chorus out of it. So, sound shifts and the sonic evolution of Memphis May Fire. Now, every band hits a point where fans start whispering, Are they gonna go soft? Memphis May Fire definitely felt that with This Light I Hold album in 2016. It leaned more into the radio rock lane with less breakdowns, more hooks. Some fans really loved it, others not so much. But Matty addressed this directly. He said in interviews that they were really searching and trying to evolve without losing the core. But let's be real, evolution is part of a band's survival. So the real rebound came in 2022 with Remade in Misery. And whew, if that wasn't a treatment album, gritty, dark, heavy, that was Memphis May Fire's kicking the door back open and screaming, "We never left." So let's get into the new era with their Shapeshifter album, 2025, this year, the year of our Lord and Savior. We don't know who that is yet. Which brings us to their latest release, Shapeshifter, which is the album they put out this year. It dropped on March 28th of this year. And this album feels like a final form of everything they've been building towards. It's heavy, it's honest, it's got an arena-sized hooks. But let's take a look at their info here. So this is the latest design for the album. You can check out their website and see the different live videos they have, the different music videos they have. Definitely a band that's been around for a long time. They have a lot of different content online. So that Shapeshifter album. So tracks like Chaotic, Paralyzed. The track features Christian Lindskog from Blindside, and it's an absolute standout. The mix of emotional deprivation, and the sonic of destruction that this song has. I've been listening to Blindside since, I want to say it was like 2001, 2002. Great band. I'll probably do a report on them soon. So Matty described the album as a journey through false selves. He said, "We spend so much of our lives trying on these identities that just don't fit, just to survive. Shapeshifter is about breaking that cycle." And man, I hope if you're into self-improvement in this life, I hope you're also into breaking those cycles, that you're thinking about the things that hold you down, the things that don't let you get to your goals and dreams. That's definitely one of the things I've learned as an adult, is taking that time to reflect, whether it's through music or whatever your meditation or therapy might be. It could be playing music, could be going to a therapist. It's important that you find that therapy. And it's also, I tell people all the time, have more than one therapy. Because sometimes you can't go and talk to your therapist, or sometimes you can't go out and play live. So having different things that you do that are healthy, that help you think through the things you're working on, is super important. Let's get back into Memphis May Fire. Let's talk about their Shapeshifter tour. If you haven't seen them live, now is definitely the time. The Shapeshifter tour is in full swing across the U.S. with VIP experiences, limited edition merch, and set lists that blend the classics with fresh fire. So they're bringing along acts like The World Alive and Holding Absence. And word is they're absolutely demolishing the stages right now. You want crowd energy? Go to Philly, this article says. You want emotional sing-alongs? Try Denver. Want a wall of death that could split the earth? Catch them in Texas. So let's get to segment 7, the spicy bits and the scene shakeups of Memphis May Fire. Now let's get into tea, shall we? So Memphis never really has been scandalous as a band, but they've been caught in a few debates. One of the biggest debates, their fluctuating style and the Christian band label. Early on, Matty was vocal about his faith, and they were often lumped into the Christian core category. But as time went on, that label got complicated with the band. They faced criticism from both sides. Some saying they were too preachy, others saying they abandoned their faith-based message. Matty eventually clarified, while his faith is personal, the band isn't about pushing religion. It's about the connection with the band. Now, this is funny, coming from a guy that's grown up in the music scene. It's either, this is how it always is with the bands, either you're not preaching enough, you're not talking about Jesus enough, you don't mention enough Bible verses, or it's quite the opposite. You're preaching too much, you have too many Bible verses. It's funny. That's why I tell bands, no matter what you're into, where you come from in life, just make authentic music. So here's a wild one. Back in 2017, there was confusion online when a man named Jared McLemore, a Memphis area musician, tragically died in a horrific act involving self-harm outside of a bar. Though he had no direct ties to Memphis May Fire, the Memphis connection sparked rumors and concern. So the band quickly clarified they had no involvement, but it shook the community. Most recently, in 2024, there was some internal tensions when Matty briefly deactivated his social media after a tweet criticizing industry hypocrisy went viral. No names were dropped in this tweet, but fans speculated that it was shade at bands who have fake authenticity for their clout. He came back a few days later with a cryptic, "I said what I said." Sounds like it was somebody that he was having a little fight with, a little tiff. So let's get into the fan base, longevity, and the future of the band. So here's a real kicker. This band's fan base is loyal. So, like, tattoo the lyrics on your arm loyal. Why? Because Memphis May Fire has always given them more than just music. They've given them truth. Even when it wasn't pretty. The truth isn't always pretty. So, in an age where bands chase TikTok fame or jump trends, Memphis May Fire stayed rooted in connection. Matty Mullins isn't trying to become a meme. He's trying to mean something with his music. As for the future, if Shapeshifter isn't an indication, we're not at the end of the story here with this band. We're just starting one of the best chapters yet. And again, like I talked about, Memphis May Fire, Matty joining Anne Boleyn. Again, not all the fans are as stoked about it as I am. I love it. So, if you're a Anne Boleyn fan or a Memphis May Fire fan, definitely listen to their new album, Shapeshifter. But also, if you love Matty, listen to the new Anne Boleyn album that they redid. They had his vocals on it. He also did some of the tracks on the new album that they just recorded with Stephen Christian. And Matty also has vocals on that album as well. So, again, if you're listening, make sure you comment below. You got any questions for the show? You want to see me do a piece on any bands? Comment down below. This is your opportunity to be part of the Off the Record family. So, all right, guys, let's grab onto your shirts, lace up those Vans, and prepare yourselves for some inner teen moments on an emotional roller coaster. So today we're going to dive into the most cathartic bands that I listen to from the Philadelphia area, and they're from the pop punk scene, the Wonder Years. I am not talking about the wholesome 90s sitcom, The Wonder Years. It was a great show, but instead the heartwarming, family-filled drama of the band, The Wonder Years, with kind of sing-along choruses that make you cry in the mosh pit. So, they formed in 2005 in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. If you watched episode 2 with Dave Heck is in a band with the lead singer of the Wonder Years called Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties. He plays a number of instruments. Definitely watch that episode. Dave Heck is the godfather of the Lansdowne music scene. He knows all the guys from the Wonder Years. We spent a little time talking about the Wonder Years on that episode as well. So the Wonder Years started as kind of a joke, a fun side project for a bunch of local musicians. But it turns out that when you combine a bit of sarcasm, real emotional vulnerability, and you also some filthy breakdowns, people pay attention, especially in the Lansdowne music scene. They love the breakdowns. So the name, yeah, it's a nod to the TV show, but don't be fooled. These guys are all about the nostalgia. So we're tuning into their website here. They're releasing Junebug, and they have the music video up for that, which I gotta check out after this episode. But yeah, it's they wanted to start a dumpster fire in their early adulthood. Their breakout moment came with the Upsides in 2010, an album that said, in no uncertain terms, I am not sad anymore, but also barely holding it together. Pretty relatable, isn't it? So let's talk about the Golden Run. After the Upsides, they dropped Suburbia. I've given you all, and now I'm holding nothing. And now I'm nothing, I'm sorry. So Suburbia, I've given you all, and now I'm nothing. That came out in 2011. One of the most ambitious albums in the genre. Named after an Allen Ginsberg poem, and full of references to grief, anxiety, and disillusionment. It basically certified them as a pop punk philosopher band for sure. And then came the greatest generation in 2013, arguably their magnum opus. Every song hits like a therapy session during a panic attack with guitars. The themes: self-worth, toxic masculinity, loss, legacy, and it's like they wrote the syllabus on how to be a sad boy 101. Got a couple buddies that seems like they've written that book as well. So let's get into the middle years and the musical growth of this band. Now, as the band matured, so did their sound. By 2015, when I actually started tuning into them, No Closer to Heaven was the album they put out. They were exploring grief in the wake of a real tragedy, the death of a close friend, and the opioid crisis that was going on at this point. Less pop punk bounce on this album, more alternative rock muscle. They were leveling up. The fans stuck around from the emotional roller coaster. I'm telling you, if you're not really into pop punk, this would be a good album to get into the Wonder Years. I'm not a huge pop punk guy. I listen to it. I will listen to it. It's not my favorite music. I do like rock music that's influenced by pop punk, post-hardcore, and that's kind of what this album kind of fits under. It kind of reminds me a little bit more of like how Reliant K evolved as well, from a pop punk band to just writing good tunes. So after that album in 2018, Sister Cities. It was moody, global, and built on experiences from touring all over the world. It showed a band that still wrestled with anxiety and identity, and now doing it with an ambient layer and a post-rock texture to the album. They were still yelling, but the yelling had evolved on this album. In 2022, they brought back The Hum Goes On Forever, a return to form in many ways, melodic, anthematic, and deeply personal. Tracks like Low Tide, The Oldest Daughter, reflect the reflections that frontman Dan Campbell made about his struggles as a father and a husband while still dealing with depression and self-doubt was what these songs really tuned into. And let's talk about the title, The Hum Goes On Forever. It's about the unending background noise of mental illness, always humming beneath everything. It's heavy, but it's also a gift for anyone who's ever tried to smile through a breakdown. If you're living through 2025, you live through 2020, you know what it's like to smile through a breakdown. And maybe if you don't, learn to. It's somewhat satisfying. So let's get into live shows and the 10-year Greatest Generation Tour. In 2023, they hit the road for the 10-year anniversary of the Greatest Generation. And fans came out in force for this tour. You want catharsis? Watch 1,500 people scream, "I don't want to die," in unison. It's like a group therapy session disguised as a concert. They also recently announced a return to Australia in 2025 with Joyce Manor and Susie in tow, which is basically an emo dream lineup for sure. Again, if you haven't listened to the Wonder Years, I would approach his writing lyrics. One of my favorite bands is Counting Crows. If you really delve into Adam's lyrics, Dan's lyrics really remind me of Adam's, where it's a struggle with mental health, it's a struggle with life, and how we really deal with that in our day-to-day lives. I really love their lyrics. I dare you to get into their music and read some of the lyrics that Dan has on any of his projects, including Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties. I believe Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties is a lot darker. But we're going to talk about that right now. So Dan Campbell, Never One to Rest, also fronts Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties. It's a folk punk side project that's basically a concept album soap opera. So in Springsteen, it's Springsteen meets Dashboard Confessional, and the third album, In Lieu of Flowers, dropped in 2024, and it's as tragic and theatrical as ever. The man writes heartbreak like it's his side hustle. So one of the conversations I had with Dave Heck, Dave Heck has never been married. He doesn't have kids. I can relate. And one of the things he said, begrudgingly, but in a loving way, because he loves Dan, he said Dan really asked him about his life and some of the struggles that Dave had gone through as a single male, and some of the mess-ups, the tragedies of his life. And that's really kind of where he was taking this approach with Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties. It's kind of a story about a broken guy. It kind of lets Dan get into this character that's not him, but I think it lets him work through some of the darkness that's in his life that he mentally handles on a daily basis. So let's go over some controversies and some spicy bits. So what about the drama? Honestly, the Wonder Years have kept it surprisingly wholesome by punk standards. But in 2014, the Australian tour cancellation that disappointed fans, they made up for it by jumping into the Soundwave Festival lineup to their fans. And back in 2010, Dan got his jaw busted mid-set by an over-enthusiastic stage diver in Dallas. He finished the show, Pop Punk's awarded for sure, but man, busted his jaw and finished the show. That is a rock star. That reminds me of some Dave Grohl moments right there. Maybe we'll cover that in a news story as well, Dave Grohl. So let's do some closing thoughts. The Wonder Years aren't just a band; they are a lifetime of. They're a lifeline for people who never felt like they had it all figured out. Through raw honesty, poetic lyrics, and relentless touring, they've built something really rare: a scene within a scene. They're the soundtrack to breakups, breakdowns, and breakthroughs in your life. So if you're feeling a little lost, a little broken, or just need to scream along to something that gets you in the tummy, put on the Wonder Years. Because no matter where you are in life, the hum goes on forever. and that's okay. So, again, this is a live show today. Feel free to ask questions down below. I want you guys to get involved. So, we're going to talk about our local band, and I've known these guys since they started. I've known some of the members since they were in a different band when they were in high school. But this is the Philly and beyond scene. So today we're going to focus on the grinding hard and building a name for themselves, bringing the real emotion to every performance, the one and only 25th Hour. So if you're a fan of Paramore and other pop punk bands, the Warped Tour scene, this is a band you definitely want to check out. If you've been hanging around the Philly or the Lancaster scene, chances are you've already heard of them. Maybe you caught their set at Phantom Power out in Lancaster County last fall. Maybe you saw their name at a DIY show flyer, and maybe you just stumbled upon their page while deep diving through local talent. Either way, this band is the one that you need to have on your radar. So, 25th Hour is made up of 5 members, Tabitha on vocals. And when I say vocals, I mean presence. Her voice cuts through in the very best way. Raw, powerful, and emotionally tuned. She's amazing live. There are 2 guitarists, Nathan and Paul. They balance the melody and with an intensity like they've been playing together for decades. Super impressive to hear them play. Sean on bass, bringing that heartbeat and that low end that you feel in your chest. And my buddy Tyler on drums, tight, technical, and drives it all forward. Now, I hope he is doing well. Last I talked to them last year, Tyler works a day job where he's on roofs doing construction, and he fell off some scaffolding and broke, I believe it was his wrist, his collarbone. It was a drummer's nightmare. I believe he's all healed up and they're playing again, but they had to cancel a couple shows. They actually asked my band Sunblind to fill in for them. We weren't able to, but these 5 come together to form a sound that's rooted in alternative and emo. But they're not just replicating a genre, they're building on it. So their music hits that sweet spot between introspective and explosive. It's a kind of sound that lets you breathe when you need it and scream when you have to. So let's talk about the lyrics. 25th Hour doesn't play it safe. They go for the gut. A lot of their songs wrestle with themes like identity, self-doubt, boundaries, emotional burnout, and somehow through all of that, there's still an undercut of growth with this band. Of getting through it. And it's the music that feels like a conversation that you've been needing to have with yourself. So one track that really puts it all on display is the song Boundaries. It's sharp, it's honest, it's got this tension between vulnerability and a strength that defines the band's sound. It's not just lyrical. The whole band leans into that push-pull energy with this song. You feel the emotional weight of every chord, every drum hit, and every shift in dynamics through this song. They've also dropped tracks like Move, The Cliff, Temples, and Looking Up, all of which have a great balance of atmosphere and punch. You can hear their range in these songs. They'll ease you into a moment, let you settle for just a second, and then hit you with a shift that knocks you right off your emotional footing. It's cathartic in the best way. I love music like this. And here's the thing, it's not just the recordings. 25th Hour brings it live. Their shows aren't about perfection. It's about connection. That realness, they play hard, they play loud, and then they leave everything on stage. Whether it's a club show, a basement, or a stage like Phantom Power, they give you everything they've got. They've built a loyal following by showing up, staying grounded, and by being real with their audience. You won't catch them acting like rock stars. They're out here doing it for the love, the community, and the catharsis of being on stage. It's not just Philly. These guys are starting to break into new cities as well, and you can feel their momentum building. People are really starting to pay attention to this band in the local scene, and it's definitely for a good reason. I saw them play finally live at Round Guys Brewery in Lansdale. That was an amazing show. They were really good. They only had, I believe, one guitarist at the time, but they blew me away. I had heard clips of them online. I had been following them for years. I was never able to make it out to a show. I was never able to book a show with them, and they blew me away. Definitely an amazing band to go see. Make sure you follow them on all their social medias. If you use Spotify, follow them on there. If you use iTunes, follow them there. Definitely go and give them a like, give them some love. Tell them the Redbeard gave them a shout out on Off the Record. So that is today's show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, make sure you comment below. Make sure you share this with a musician, this show. We're really trying to build this. We've got some big interviews coming up this year. Can't wait to get them in front of you guys. So make sure you smash that subscribe button and show some love.